Welcome to Fox Valley in Focus. I'm your host, Barb Nadeau. On today's show, we're going to have two guests. Todd Latham is the commander of the Veterans of Foreign Wars in the city of Sandwich to talk about veterans issues in and around our local area. And Joel Frieders is a Ward 3 Alderman for the city of Yorkville, but he's also a spokesperson for suicide prevention. We'll get started right after this.
Their support changed my life.
They were like family.
My voice is now heard.
A home for every animal.
My future is bright because they cared.
This is our home now.
Thank you to the 1,200 nonprofits that serve Cass and Clay counties every day.
We start our show today with a topic that is pretty serious and has become almost a national epidemic. Suicide is rampant in our countryside, and it's a very frightening thing. Joel Frieders, a Ward 3 Alderman for the city of Yorkville, has taken this on as a cause, and we're glad to have him with us today. Joel, thanks for being here.
Appreciate it.
You know, one of the things I wanted to ask you is how you got started, what motivated you to take on such a serious topic?
Well, I think one of the main reasons why I started kind of working on this latest project that I've been working on is just basically out of frustration. One of the things that nobody really teaches you when you hit adulthood is how do you maintain a semblance of every day when you're hurting. So me being someone who's very vocal about whether something I'm excited about something, I'm angry about something, I've almost turned my frustration into my own therapy because there's really no other way to express the feelings that you have inside when you experience a friend of yours or a person you looked up to who kills themselves.
And you know, the fact is that suicide is something that affects every age group and every demographic. The poor, the rich, the young, our elderly, teenagers, people at the prime of their careers.
Yeah, and what's scary for me is that when I get, frustrated or depressed, I have friends and family that I can call on. So I'm one of the fortunate ones. But what kind of freaks me out is that the people who, in my experience, at least over the last 2 months, the people that have been taking their lives are the ones that are acting like everything is okay. So I'm doing my best right now to act as if I'm okay, but at the same time, I'm letting it be known that it's okay to not act like it's okay. It's okay to be upset. It's perfectly okay to ask someone to just sit there for 5 minutes and let you vent to them. Mm-hmm. So I'm at the point in my life, I'm 37 years old, I have 3 kids and a beautiful wife. I was never taught how to deal with loss. I was never taught how to deal with frustration as it relates to loss. I was never taught that, hey, sometimes you might just want to throw up all the time because you're sad. And that's something that when you're growing up in a society where, oh, get over it, or man up is one that I've been told before. I always shut my mouth and put up with it, but I had outlets. I had music, I had writing, I had people to hang out with that would allow me to be myself. But then you face society and everybody's telling you to just deal with it, and that's not okay. So while yes, you do have to go to work and make a living, it is definitely okay to ask for help, or just ask for a conversation, because 5 minutes of talking about it can get rid of maybe 2 or 3 days of anxiety, at least in my experience. And that's what I'm just trying to do right now, is kind of let that be known.
Yeah, it's hard because I don't think people recognize some of the signs that suicide is something that you're grappling with. Yeah. You know, you don't really want to call it a disease, but it's almost as if it's a thought that becomes more of a thought, and people don't know that that's happening in you, and so many people don't understand how to reach out and even say those words to a friend in fear that they're going to trigger a response.
Absolutely.
You never want to trigger a response, but I think I was telling you before the show the other day that, you know, I lost someone who was very well connected, and, you know, I couldn't believe that my friend had decided to do this. Yeah. And I thought, how many of us could have talked to this person and maybe made a difference, but we're not able to.
Right. And I think it's the idea that if someone's acting like they're okay, they're okay. That, you know, we can't all be therapists for one another, but one of the main things we can be is there for each other. Like the other day on the way home from work, My friend Kevin called, hey, how you doing? Good, what's up? Nothing, just want to see how you're doing. And my son's in the front seat going, he just called you to say what's up. I'm like, yeah, that's what friends do. So it's more of a, take the extra step instead of just, messaging someone on Facebook or texting them.
I love
3
that.
seconds of phone calls. I mean, his name's Kevin Trudeau, and he completely made my day. Like, that's what we should be doing.
I love that because, we do have those people that will call us out of the blue, and we need to be that person for someone else.
True.
For no other reason, just to say hi.
True.
We seem to, I don't know, maybe hide behind or just delve into social media sites too much, whatever,
Yeah.
and we're not doing that connectivity that is one-on-one, actual
And it's
individual.
like, from my perspective, like, I have a lot of stuff going on, whether it's government stuff for my kids in sports or, turning off the phone or hanging out with my wife for a while. There are times when I wonder, man, I wonder what that guy's up to. But it's so difficult to wedge out time to do it, and I think the easiest time to do it is in the car. So what I've been doing, like, before I leave work, is I take my phone book and I scroll up and I hit a name, and if that's somebody that the phone number works, just call them. Hey, what's up? Nothing. What's going on? Are you in town? No.
Just
driving
make
home
a
from work.
difference
Yeah.
for one person, for one moment, regardless of who it is. Just let them know
3
that
minutes
you're
of your
thinking
day
of
to
them.
talk to somebody you haven't talked to in a while can do a lot. And you don't know if that person was considering something or is just frustrated with everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's the simple gestures that don't cost any money. I mean, long distance is now included in your cell phone plan. So it's the idea that there's reasons why not to do something. There's such a draw to something that is completely selfless and easy to do, that if you do it once or twice a week, heck, once a day, you're going to be changing the world around you. And that's kind of like, there's so much negativity around right now. And I don't like to harp on politics, being involved in local politics. It's a lot easier to shut your mouth and make a difference in a committee than it is to swear up and down on Facebook that you're against something. It's a lot more difficult. It requires a lot more restraint. But if I can use that restraint on social media and not lambast whether it's the president or somebody else for making a completely ridiculous statement, I can make more of a difference as an alderman and as just trying to be an adult when your president can't be. Those are the things that I want to spend the energy in doing, because I'm not going to get anywhere by sharing something on Facebook.
We're talking about making a difference one person at a time here on Fox Valley in Focus with Joel Frieders. We'll be back right after this. We're talking with Joel Frieders, Ward 3 Alderman for the City of Yorkville, about suicide and suicide prevention. And Joel, we have suicide prevention services locally here in Batavia. I know that they have a people on call always, and they're trying to have a good presence in the Fox Valley, as well as the National Suicide Hotline. Are you involved with that group?
I'm involved with SPS, or Suicide Prevention Services, as I cook in their 50 Men Who Cook. I share as much of their stuff as possible. I wrote a proclamation for the City of Yorkville that included a reference to the services that Suicide Prevention Services provides. And I've been spreading that proclamation throughout the state and then hopefully throughout the country for the remainder of the year. I don't have the training or the emotional IQ to be able to do the things that Suicide Prevention Services does. So I've taken it upon myself to shine the light in their direction as much as possible, because, like I said, I can't do what they do.
Yeah, they're a great resource, and the fact that they're really national leaders
Yes.
in this idea of prevention, and that's what we're talking about today. You know, it's a tragedy when you lose someone to suicide, but it's how do you not lose them, and how do you prevent it? How
Right.
do you start out and keep your loved ones close?
Right. I think a lot of what they, at least as far as my opinion of their work, a lot of what they are doing is just providing a resource for, it's a separate segment of not really therapy, but of just social interaction. And that's one of the things that we need to have more in our schools. Like junior highs, I think, is the most critical time to help students overcome the idea that they've screwed up so bad that there's no way of fixing it. And I think we've all kind of been in that predicament. One of my college roommates hung himself on Mother's Day 2010 in the house that I shared with him. Mother's Day was also graduation day. Come to find out, I don't know if he was, they were delaying his graduation or he broke up with his girlfriend. Doesn't really matter. But that's something that had he been made aware of the fact that everything is fixable, maybe that wouldn't have happened, because that took one of the better days, or should have been one of the better days for most people in that group of people. He immediately made the graduation day and Mother's Day one of the worst days of the year, every year.
For all of those graduates,
everyone
the
that knew
faculty,
him.
the staff, and that has repercussions.
Yes.
And you don't want to put blame on anyone who's suffering so badly.
Right.
On the other hand, I think that's kind of a call to all of us
Absolutely.
to love each other more,
Yep.
because when something like that happens, it's almost like it makes it happenable. It makes
Yeah.
it possible,
Yeah.
and we don't want that to happen again.
Yeah.
So we really do have to go out and love each other a
Yeah,
lot
and
more.
it's as simple as seeing someone you haven't seen in a while and not saying hi in passing. It's a full-on, give them a bro hug. I mean, there's nothing wrong with taking the time. I'm perpetually early everywhere I go. I've been late maybe 7 or 8 times in the last month because I stopped, because I didn't care. It's just time. But time is something I can give. If I'm 15 minutes early for a meeting and that meeting isn't the end of the world, why didn't I spend that extra 30 or 45 seconds just reconnecting with someone and at least telling them that I love them?
There you go.
So,
Everybody should slow down, relax.
slow down,
We
throw your phone out your window.
we stress ourselves out too much,
Yep,
don't we?
We do. So
This is wonderful what you're doing.
I'm just trying to start a conversation because nobody wants to talk about suicide. My friend
What's been the
Joe.
reaction?
So the first time I wore this shirt, sorry, I was at a conference last week, and I'm going to the elevator, and a guy stops in the hallway and he goes, "You know how people are just there at like weird times?" And I'm like, "Yeah," because there's nobody else in the hallway. And he goes, "My brother-in-law's brother committed suicide last night," and I've had it on for 2 minutes.
But you needed to have that shirt on?
Yeah.
That was something that was supposed to happen.
But at the same time, I felt stronger than I do right now talking about it because he needed it. And so I shook his hand and said my condolences. And he was asking me, like he kept starting a question over and over again, which he couldn't finish. And he was asking me, does it? And I'm like, it doesn't get easier. But you get stronger somehow. And that's part of the thing that like I can't fix it. I don't know how to fix it. So I'm talking about suicide, and it's really freaking hard. But besides that, it's not about me. It's about the people that are part of my life that know that I love them, but might not have heard it recently. So I'm doing my best to be a bullhorn and being annoying as hell, because there's really no other way to make people stop and go, we got to talk about this. Because we had an 11-year-old in Yorkville. My friend Scott, his son is in 6th grade or something like that. They had a 12-year-old that did it. My friend Mike that just killed himself in July was 40. My friend Joe Vim, his friend Tony was 36. We've got veterans that are coming back from wars and they're just blowing their brain, like literally blowing their brains out, which is not only ending their life, but you're ruining the life of everyone around it. Because how do you get that image out of your head? So if we don't talk about this, if we don't get angry about it, and if we don't cry on freaking television about it, what are we going to do next? Because we're past the point of an epidemic. This is happening in every city, every county, every state, every country. So I've been working on a proclamation, which is nothing. It's a piece of paper that a mayor reads, puts a stamp on, and signs. But every mayor in the entire country should take a proclamation and give props to the people from suicide prevention, whatever service it is, whether it's the National Hotline or it's SPS in Batavia. You sign it, you talk about it, and you talk about suicide. And then the newspaper writes about it once, and then this keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. You've talked about suicide, and maybe somebody heard it.
Thank you. Thank you so much for being on our show today. Again,
Sorry about the sniffles.
talk about suicide. Joe Frieders, Alderman from the city of Yorkville, thank you so much for being with us.
Appreciate it.
We'll be right back right after this.
Their support changed my life.
They were like family.
My voice is now heard.
A home for every animal.
My future is bright because they cared.
This is our home now.
Thank you to the 1,200 nonprofits that serve Cass and Clay counties every day.
Todd Latham joins us now. Todd is the commander of the VFW in Sandwich. That's post 1486. And Todd, thanks for being on our show today. You know, we just had a very serious conversation with Joel Frieders, and you were telling me you were running late because you were talking this morning with a veteran.
Right. You know, so part of my role as commander is to make sure that I not only represent the post and it operates and it provides services, but it's also making those connections with veterans that I meet just every day to let them know that a place like the VFW is somewhere they can come. Not everyone's eligible for the VFW, but it's always a place that we want to be a welcoming location for veterans. We do a great job about taking care of veterans, their spouses, widows, and children. That's our obligation as veterans. Probably the motto, and I don't have my Legion hat on, but I have a Legion hat that says Air Force veterans still serve in America. And that's one thing that we should keep in mind as veterans, that our service really never ends, it just continues. It's just in a different form.
Both of those organizations are so important to our nation, really. The American Legion as a social and well, they've got a lot of missions too in service to veterans of all sorts, and then the VFW specifically for veterans who have served in conflicts overseas. Is that right?
Right, that's correct. So, you know, one of the things that we look at is the men and women that belong to our posts and making sure we provide those services. So probably about a year or so, or maybe longer ago, we brought the Heinz Mobile Unit out, and it was a RV that came out and provided services of medical care to men and women veterans. And it's since kind of pulled back those services, but we still once a month on the third Thursday have a chance for veterans to come down and meet with the Veterans Assistance Commission, which are all at the county level. And also Heinz comes out and provides some medical service, but also really make sure that veterans get into the system or receive the care that they need.
That's interesting. I didn't know you had that, and that's really so important. Following up on that question, let me ask you, what's the makeup of the veterans that you have in your post as far as age? Are they like
right, so it mirrors what
top heavy when you talk about how old they are?
Well, it does, and it really our post mirrors the national VFW. So you probably have about 78% of your veterans are Vietnam veterans, and the rest of them are typically in between Gulf War and Afghanistan, Iraqi veterans that fit in that difference. And so, you know, on one end, I look at our veterans that you know, are probably in their 60s and 70s. And disabilities come in all different forms and sizes, visible and invisible. So I spend a lot of time making sure that they're taken care of. They've already done their time in service. They're a great leadership portion of our post that runs it. And then I have a lot of younger veterans that have different needs from them. Their needs are how to take care of their family, raising their kids, and going to school, child care. Very different than some of the other veterans. So we look at all the veteran population we have, and we try to provide and support them as best we can.
That's difficult.
It is.
And then I'm sure you have a couple that are older, really elderly,
World War II,
and then they
Korean.
have another set of problems.
Right. As a matter of fact, Don Beasley was a World War II veteran, served at D-Day. We lost Don about 2 months ago. He passed away. But he would come to every meeting. He was there. You know, and so that's also another portion too. Is we have some older veterans that we make sure that they get into the VA hospitals and they're provided transportation. We took a Korean veteran about a year ago to Honor Flight, which is a program where they, at no cost, fly veterans to Washington, D.C. to see the memorials. And so we look at all those opportunities to not only provide care, but services and opportunity to veterans.
I'm so glad that you're telling us all this because we want to share your phone number and your address. I know there's always other veterans that haven't reached out. Sure. For one reason or another, they just haven't taken the time to get involved. Right. And it's good that you're sharing this message.
Right. And so they're like me. I didn't join the VFW or the American Legion right away. I had a family. I went to school. I was involved in youth sports, coaching. And so at one point, I think you just kind of realize that you're in a transitional point in your life and you're looking for a different opportunity and you want that camaraderie of being around veterans. And so for me, I don't force them to do anything. I just say we're there when you want to. You can stop at any time you like. If you needed support or a service or a phone number to call, that's what we're there for. We're connecting veterans to other groups and other services and other programs that they might need, but also gives them a place to hang out and talk around with people their same age, their same branch of service, similar experiences, and different things that they might have experienced through their military career.
So while we're talking about that, tell us more about your post, you know, the building, what you have to offer, and where you're located.
Okay, so I'll start by where we're located. So we're located at 713 South Main Street, and that's in Sandwich. It's the VFW post. We also, though, have the Sandwich American Legion meets there. We also have the Marine Corps League. We do the Toys for Tots out of that location as well. And we also have a Legion Riders program for motorcycle riders out of the post. So even though it's the VFW post, we actually provide support and a location for multiple military and veterans groups to use. So what we provide is basically what we call a post home. A post home is a place where veterans can come and meet, they can socialize. We have a post dinner once a month. But when you look at it, it really costs about $100 a day to keep the VFW open for veterans. And so part of ours is raising funds. But I have a location there that has just different brochures and pamphlets and books, what veterans can receive federally, statewide. I work with 3 counties. I actually have membership in 5 counties. So I work with the Kendall VAC, that's Chad Lockman. I work with Steve Kreitzer out of LaSalle VAC and Tammy Anderson out of the Kell VAC. And that's really where a lot of the veterans assistance comes from at the beginning level. They do the evaluation, the input into the system. They help veterans that have service-connected disabilities get the benefits and receive that care that they need, because sometimes it's often difficult. It's a struggle. It's frustrating to veterans. I've been in the VA healthcare system 22 years. I know I don't look like it, but I'm a disabled vet myself. And so I can connect with them at many different levels. My wife's an Air Force veteran, so I'm married to a veteran, and I understand the women's needs as well, and I do a lot of the recruiting for our post to bring them in and give them those opportunities as well beyond their military service.
Let's take a short break. When we come back, let's talk a little bit about some of the challenges and some of your fundraising efforts and other things coming up on your calendar. We'll be right back right after this.
Their support changed my life.
They were like family.
My voice is now heard.
A home for every animal.
My future is bright because they cared.
This is our home now.
Thank you to the 1,200 nonprofits that serve Cass and Clay counties every day.
We're talking with Todd Latham. He's the commander of the VFW Post 1486. That's in Sandwich, Illinois on Main Street. And Todd, you've been telling us about, well, I was going to ask, what do you do? What are some of your roles as a commander? And it got so involved. There's so much that you do, and I don't think people realize how active the members of a VFW are and how many things they're doing for each other, how many services are out there. So that was really wonderful to hear all that. And I wanted to ask you a little bit more about some of the challenges that you have at your post. You were saying that it's about $100 a day to keep it open. I've been at your post. It's a beautiful facility, but I'm sure there's a lot more in the wish list that
Right.
You want to get done. So
Right.
tell us a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I think probably our most immediate largest fundraiser is our parking lot. It's been a gravel parking lot since it was built in the 90s, and we're looking to improve that and pave it. So where we're at
And
now.
how important is that? Let me
Well,
stop you right there, because
sure.
I don't think people, they say, well, so what is a gravel lot? What does that mean to a veteran?
Right. So I think it's important in a couple of ways. So immediate to the veteran is to make sure that I have a safer way for them to get to our post meetings. I'm always concerned about someone slipping and that our parking lot's cleared. And plus, I think cosmetically it looks good for the neighborhood. We're by the YMCA and by the library. And I think that's one reason. But the other one also is the community uses our post. We'll quite often donate it. The Kiwanis have been in there to use our post. We'll use it for reunions, and so I think it has a greater purpose as well, because it's, as much as it is a VFW, a lot of times it's a meeting location. The Sandwich Community Fund meets there as well, and so we want to make sure that we improve the property as well, just not for our purpose, but it also benefits the community.
Yeah, and when you think about some of the people that are in and out of your post, and you think about some of those elderly vets that are coming in, or disabled vets that are coming in, how important it is to have that pavement, as well as for the community when they're using it for your functions.
Right, and being that the Heinz unit and the VAC comes there once a month, it's all more important that we provide a nice location for them to park. A lot of people have wheelchairs and they have walkers, and that's really to make sure that accessibility is there and is improved upon. And it's just not the parking lot. We restored a cannon out front. It's one of 19 cannons left in America. We worked with our auxiliary, which has men and women in it. We bought diaper changing stations for our bathrooms. We just bought one of our members donated a high chair. So we're looking at different ways that we can improve our posts for different populations within our membership, but also for that community use as well.
You're also very involved, as you said, in the community, just offering it as space, but you do some philanthropic things for the community.
We do. So just last week, we participated in the Taste of Sandwich to make sure the community recognizes that our VFW, our Legion Post, our Marine Corps League, our Legion Riders are in the community. We do color guards for 3 communities. We take care of Sandwich, Newark, and Lisbon. We also have a scholarship program. We have what's called Patriots Pen, which is a program in the middle school level which has a theme, and then the students have a chance to write.
And that's actually writing an essay
Writing an essay
about their country, about Americana, about
what freedom means to me, what veterans provide for America. And then we do an oratory contest as well called Voice of Democracy at the high school level. Past couple years, we've had individuals place at the district and the state level, and so we've been very successful. And we tie that to the curriculum of the school as well. So the teachers and the administrators are very instrumental in helping us get those programs in, but it also emphasizes the ability to write and speak well and to put that into the hands of our youth. And then they have a chance to, as I say, get scholarship money and go on and use it for college or other purposes.
And there's a lot of students that don't take advantage of those opportunities when they're offered, so thank you for pointing them out. That's a great way to add a little bit of money to the scholarship coffers, and if that just takes care of a few college books that you need or a semester's worth of books, it's well worth it.
Right, and so those are the programs. And then on Veterans Day, we go to every school in Sandwich because that's our immediate location. It actually takes all day. And we go out there and we talk to the kids. So last year I brought my rucksack, which is what you carry all your gear in. We brought a flak jacket, and we brought an entrenching tool. Usually we talk to the kids, but we brought something that was hands-on that they could physically wear, touch, see, and give them an idea a little bit more about what some of the military equipment was like. And we have a chance to talk to the kids of all ages, share with our experiences, why serving our country is a very important and noble cause and opportunity. And then we also get a program called Veterans in the Classroom. Some of our veterans, after that day, will go speak to the kids in their history class or their social studies class about some of their experience and relate what they've experienced to what's in their textbooks.
Well, if a kid's reading, anybody's reading, if they can't really engage in it, it doesn't mean anything. The only way to teach history is really to have that feeling of being immersed in it. You're offering these students something that's really valuable,
right.
Giving them a connection.
Right, so we look at different ways, and learning comes, I'm a big believer in what's called Gardner's theory of learning, in which you have multiple learning experiences, where it's kinetic, movement, or visual. And so we try to bring some different resources to the school teachers as well. One of our teachers, Mr. Rhodes, at the middle school, is an Army veteran himself. He participates when we come to the middle school. We give out awards, we recognize the students, and for us, it's a way to give back to the community.
And Todd, where can we learn more? You're available online, you have a website?
We do, and I need to update it. So if you should Google the Sandwich VFW, we should come up on the website. But some other great resources are VFWIL.org, which is the Illinois VFW, or VFW.org, which is the national. It'll list all the programs and opportunities. You can find a post near you. You can look at different programs they offer, support, benefits, and
Thank you.
And just a great way to be connected.
Thank you. That's wonderful information, and thank you so much for being on our show. That will do it for Fox Valley in Focus for today, and we will see you next time.